Keizer Traffic Safety and Bikeway Pedestrian Committee. Today, July 9th. First order of business is approval of the minutes from our June meeting.
Yes, there we go. I move we approve the minutes from the June 11th meeting.
Second.
Discussion, yes, I have discussion. I submitted some comments to Debbie, and they are about the explanation of, I guess, of our discussion around the Delight Street project. And I think that Mr. Griffin did say that if it had been marked as a bike lane, people would not be allowed to park on it or walk on it. I think that's correct that he said that. When it comes to my turn later, I'll provide you some information that part of that may be in question, but I think that is what he said. But the next part, I felt that it should be clear in our minutes that when he said that cars could be allowed to park on the path, that there were a few of us that were surprised and
Not in favor of that.
yeah, were surprised and objected to that idea and asked him to provide us the citation that would show that that was indeed allowable. And so that's what I had suggested, that the minutes should capture that the committee members were, took issue with that, and and asked him to provide that clarification of the Oregon law or standards that would permit that.
So this is a correction?
That's
For the
my
minute.
proposed correction. So can I say to the person that proposed it, do we accept a friendly amendment?
Yes.
And I support this as a second.
Okay.
And then we need to change the date on the minutes from,
Right, I know that.
you got that,
Yeah.
okay. All righty.
So do we, is there any other discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes with the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay. Unopposed and none abstaining. The next item is the appearance of interested citizens. We have 2 people signed up. The first is Carol Dorfler.
Good evening. No, I'm not at Parks. This is the Traffic Safety Bike Pedestrian Committee. The first thing I want to say is, Pat, I'm sorry that you're bowing out of this committee. You always bring interesting perspectives to the discussions that are going on. And I'd like to continue the discussion about Delight Street. And although it's not the perfect solution, it certainly is somewhat of an improvement over what the kids had before. And that was the main aim of the West Keizer Neighborhood Association, was to be able to define a pathway for these kids to walk on. Now, true, as Pat pointed out, there are hazards when people park there, and the biggest one is the car door opening, which is just disastrous for bicycles and bad for pedestrians also. So with school, well, who knows what's going to happen with school in September, but let's just kind of assume that things might roll along and we can get kids back in school. The thing we're going to have to look at is is the parking on that pathway. And because it is not designated as a bike or a pedestrian, that was my understanding also, Pat, that people probably could park on that. Now, when we were discussing this issue, Mr. Lawyer was very specific in telling the West Keizer Neighborhood Association that we could bring that back, and the pathway could be designated as a no parking zone, and probably, most likely, would be at certain hours. And those hours would coincide when the kids are coming back and forth to school. So I kind of took that as a solution to a problem that we knew was probably going to rear its ugly head. Now, I've been down that street watching the parking, okay, at all hours. And I've counted up to a dozen cars that were parked in there at various times. Now today, I went down there, it was 2:20, that's when the kids get out of school. One car was parked on that pathway, and it was a truck that's been for sale for about a month that hasn't moved off the parkway. But these are things that are just going to happen there until perhaps we get some signage. And my purpose here is to let you know that we as a neighborhood association are aware of the issues that have come along with the pathway, but it is also that we recognize it's better than it was. We could have, if we waited another 10 years, maybe we could have gotten sidewalks, maybe. But we felt that at the time that it was imperative to get these kids onto something that would be safer than what they had before. So there's our pathway. So that's what I had to say.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, I'm glad that, because I'm glad that you're here to speak, I guess not only on behalf of yourself, but from the Neighborhood Association, is that
Yes.
correct tonight? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm glad that we have that view, and thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, Carol, let's don't forget and keep on the parking issue, though, with Bill.
Oh, I won't forget it.
Okay. Okay.
Have you ever
Be-
seen me forget anything?
No, but
There you have
the
it.
committee really doesn't want parking there.
No, we don't want parking
Yep.
there. No.
But,
So when it gets closer, I suppose I could ride down there every day and keep a tally of how many cars there are. The issue with that, Hirsch, is that's going to get thrown back to the West Keizer Neighborhood Association to go to the neighbors. And that's going to be a fight, because I don't think that that's something that the Neighborhood Association should be doing.
No, I totally agree with you
Thank
there. I
you.
mean, it should be
But
a public
been told-
outreach element of a project of that kind, because
Yeah.
as you see, this scenario or the cross-section that existed there before it was built,
Right.
obviously people were parking in front of their house, so that was clearly an issue that was going to come up, and
Yes.
that would normally be dealt with in the public outreach part of it, you know.
And there was a very well-attended meeting that Bill had with the neighbors.
Okay.
And the whole issue was discussed, and most people were quite agreeable. There was one person there who said, well, my son's been parking there forever, and he'll probably park there forever with the pathway there. So, it's just, but back to the other discussion about it being put back on the neighborhood association, I will probably be back here seeking your support and saying, no, it's not up to the neighborhood association to go over there and petition those neighbors. So, stay tuned.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just
Well,
one-
Wayne, did you
one-
have a question for?
Just a comment, Carol. I just want to let you know that as a member of the traffic committee, I don't want to see cars parking there. Limited hour parking possible, that would be okay. But one car in that path totally negates that path. You can't walk on it, you can't ride a bike on it, you can't ride a skateboard, you can't use your wheelchair, your Segway. One car gets in the way.
Yeah.
So one car is too many, in my opinion.
Yep. Thank you.
And we have Jeff Kruger. You need to state your name and city of residence.
Okay, my name is Jeff Kruger. I live in Keizer, Oregon, at the corner of Shoreline and Cummings, and that is the reason for my visit here tonight. There's been a lot of work going on there, which is great. Thank you. It's a little inconvenient, I understand, but K&E does a great job. I wrote to them actually and thanked them for being so. It's been several times they've come and done some work there, and they're always very professional. So thank you for hiring K&E. The reason for my visit tonight is because, as I say, I live on the southwest corner of that intersection. That intersection at Shoreline and Cummings is one that is not heated very well. A lot of cars just don't even bother stopping, and others like to use it as a place to peel out. So I was thinking maybe, in my mind, I was thinking maybe speed bumps would be a cheap way to do that. But ideally, what would be really nice would be if we could do one of those small traffic circles at the corner of Shoreline and Cummings so that people couldn't peel out and they would have to obey the traffic devices. Right now, they're kind of ignoring them. So that was the point of my visit tonight. I was hoping it's just an idea I'm throwing out there, something for you to consider. And hopefully we can see some kind of improvement. We have a police officer here, I see. He knows very well that that intersection is probably not
just
very well
pulling it up
heated.
so I can try and envision your idea.
Yeah,
Well,
it's just past Cummings School, right where it meets Shoreline. So if you go up Cummings,
Well, the map was pretty small. I got a map right out here.
yeah,
Well, do you,
not far from Delight, actually. Welcome to
right,
West
and-
Keizer neighborhood. All right, yeah.
and the door
now,
prize
are you
on-
talking more about on Cummings up to Shoreline versus Shoreline?
Well, my
Proceedings
original
through.
idea is, I gotta say, I wrote to Kathy Clark, first of all, just because I said, where do I go? How do I even proceed with this? Because her daughter and my daughter swam years ago together. And she suggested I contact Dan, and which I did, and Dan came and looked at it. So she said speed bumps don't always work as well as they should. So
Correct,
and
and-
my first choice was the traffic circle. I even mentioned that in the letter I wrote to her. But I didn't think that would be possible. It's a fairly large intersection, and Dan assured me it's actually got 90-foot easements on both of those. So maybe a traffic circle would be the best way. I was trying to think of something cheap and easy, so that's what I was thinking, speed bumps. But boy, if we could do a traffic circle, that would be ideal. in my
Speed
opinion.
bumps as a cyclist, I'm very much opposed.
Okay.
Very much opposed.
That's on the scenic bikeway route.
Yeah,
that is
that's
on
on
the
the
scenic
the
bikeway
scenic
route.
bikeway is right there. Now, you can do visual speed bumps where there's no bump, but it looks like one.
Okay.
That works. There are a number of traffic calming methodologies, everything from one that I really like is a lot of trees, where it gives the person a narrowing, even though the street's not narrowed, but the trees make the area look narrow, slows things down, and those are cheaper.
As I say, this is just an idea I'm throwing out there for your consideration.
So it may be some sort of traffic control device, not the traditional old speed bumps,
That's fine with me. That's fine with me.
at least from my point of view. Traffic circles, the only problem from historically is on Winter Street, they have traffic circles down by Grant Elementary.
Right.
And the problem with those is they're a maintenance issue. You know, they've put plowers in it in the neighborhood. Now, West Keizer is definitely a very, very active group that would possibly maintain them, but, you know,
Understood, understood.
Is there just one, I'm trying to remember if there's 2 stop signs in a row as you come down Shoreline or one there? I guess
There's one there, and then the next one is at Dearborn.
Yeah, Dearborn, okay, yeah.
So from Cummings to Dearborn is a straight
But
shot.
on Shoreline going north, there is no stop signs.
Right, which wouldn't
Till-
be a
till you
problem,
get
it's
to-
not, wouldn't be a problem if everybody's just proceeding at a constant, reasonable speed. I
And actually,
guess.
now that I think about it, Dearborn is not a stop on Shoreline. It's,
No.
no, I'm wrong about that. Chemawa is the next stop
Yeah,
sign.
Chemawa.
Dearborn has stop signs on Dearborn, but not
Yeah,
on Shoreline.
yeah.
It's not a four-way.
And Shoreline, when it was built, was very
It's
wide.
very wide.
And from a human nature driver standpoint, speed is a little higher. You get a narrower looking street, things slow down.
Yeah.
But you're saying the main problem is the speed, or the main problem is ignoring the stop sign?
Yeah, it's not so much the speed. The speed is naturally regulated by the fact that cars park on both sides.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of places now where you have to pull over and wait for the oncoming traffic to go through.
Sure.
So the speed is naturally taken care of. It's the failing to obey the stop sign, and then even worse, it's all the kids that like to just peel out. That's
Yeah.
one of their favorite spots to show off for their friends.
If I can interject, have you ever called that one in?
Which one?
Have you ever called that complaint in?
No. I just understand that they do it, and I know how busy you guys are, so.
So
I
if
can
we-
do that if you'd like.
If we don't know it, we can't fix it.
Okay,
So what I will do is I will bring that to my guys. I mean, we're actually back up to staffing again, which was going to be in our staff report, but that's something it's an area that we can work.
thank you. I appreciate that.
What I have learned is report it, at least gets it in their database.
It gives us a chance to address it.
Gotcha. Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah.
Can I call on Carol Dorfler? Did you have another, can you,
Can I come up?
comment or observation? Okay.
Yeah, I'll be around.
Well, I'm back. If you remember, I
was fast.
brought the traffic speeding along Shoreline to this committee last year when we had complaints from another area of the neighborhood. And Jeff's idea of a circle is wonderful, but move it up to Shoreline and Raffel.
Yeah,
That
a big
is an
intersection.
enormous intersection. It is humongous. So there's no chance to go peeling out because they're going to know they have to go around the traffic circle. And I've thought about this the whole time they have been working out there, thinking, God, if we could just get a circle out there, because that intersection is just
Too big.
too big. It's actually a hazard, and you know I do crossing guard there. And some of those kids out there, it takes them forever to get across the street and the cars are waiting, they're waiting, and these little kids have legs like this, and they're going as fast as they can. But anyway, Jeff and I maybe should talk, and we can come back and maybe present something else.
You can
But-
talk to me as a non-committee member of that neighborhood.
Yes, yes. All right, thank you.
Okay,
You got another question or
I
comment?
do. Oh, I have another question. Yes.
I was wondering if I could add my name to the list.
Oh,
You can just come up. Okay.
yes, I was just going to call for, if, any other discussion of Shoreline
And
near
that's what
Cummings?
I'm gonna say.
You want to comment that and then?
Yes, I
Okay.
do. Hi, my name is Lisa Sajeka. I live in Keizer. I'm a daily walker, and I walk Shoreline by Cummins and Raffel. And that block is the most dangerous part of my walk every single day. Because I can stand at the crosswalk at Raffel, and most of the people don't stop, and that's fine. But you start to walk, and I'm not slow, but if you're partway across and somebody turns out, you have to really kind of pick it up so you don't get smashed. And they run Cummings and Shoreline all the time because they don't think anybody's going to be coming from either direction. They just come down Cummings and turn right onto Shoreline or turn left onto Shoreline. It's really the most dangerous part of my walk every day. So, anyway, a traffic circle would be nice, something visual because it's 5 lanes wide. I mean, there's a center lane and then 2 lane, it's an insane intersection.
What are the worst times?
I walk early in the morning. The latest, usually I come back, it's, when people are going to work. And if it's a little bit dusky, then it's just really hard to see. And I understand,
So
but,
there's a big difference between 5 a.m. and 9 a.m. I mean, if,
I walk at 5 and I walk at 9 and sometimes I'm there at 11 and there's always a ton of traffic on Shoreline. Always.
Can you tell us that cross street again, Shoreline and
And Raphael.
Raphael? Okay, Raphael.
Yeah, and it's that little
There's
weird
sidewalks on both sides there.
street.
But the intersection is skewed and it's just.
Right, but there's sidewalks on both
Massive
sides.
Can I add one more thing? There are 2 state-owned group homes within 500 feet of those intersections as well. In fact, there's one right on the corner of Raphael
Right.
and Shoreline, and then there's one a little further south.
But, and it's not, and it's hard to see and it's so wide that a couple of times I've almost gotten smashed by state police, which would be kind of awkward for everybody involved. But
So it sounds like,
Keizer police have never almost hit me. Thank you. Any other questions?
no, but I guess our follow-up is the reporting it to the police department so that they can take action, right? And then I don't know if any of the members of the committee want to have a contact back with these members of the neighborhood association or the neighborhood association overall on this issue.
our biggest thing is we just need to know what are the most predominant times. We have 40,000 people within our city, so days and times for us are pretty critical, so we can actually specifically target.
Carol, what do you
I can tell you,
comment on the
because
most
I live right on the corner.
most
Okay.
problematic
It's-
times?
It's commute time in the morning.
Again, commute time for a lot of people is different.
I will say 7 to 9, especially around 8:30 and 9 o'clock in the morning, because when school is in, okay?
Helping kids.
We'll preface that, when school is in, because moms are taking their kids, moms and dads, taking their kids to school in the car, go by there. It's also coming home at 3:30 when there's school is a huge amount of traffic, enormous amount of traffic. And I couldn't figure it out for a long time. And it's school, well, let's see, when do I go to the corner? At 2:40. So at 10 to 3, from on until about 5:30. And it took me a very long time to figure out why that was so heavy. It's because school is coming out, but work trucks, people are being done with work. The electrical man is going home. The plumber's going home. The construction people are going home. There is an enormous amount of traffic at that time.
So we haven't had school in several months,
Correct.
but I'm understanding we have a problem right now with our other speaker that had came in.
Well, no,
Now is not a good time to think about it because there's so much construction going on right now.
Yeah, it's closed.
Totally different. So there's people who just don't even bother with stop signs anymore because it's only a 3-way stop now instead of a 4-way, so why should I even bother? So it's a hard time to compare right now, but
yeah.
when school is in session, as you say,
Oh, yeah, it's huge.
I mean, Cummings is just 500 feet away.
If you could do us a huge favor though, is when you see that start to pick back up and it is an issue again, if you can just make notations of times and call it in and we will get out there.
I will do that for you.
Thank you.
I would like, The incident, do we have a record of incidents along that road for the last 5 years? Is that
I
something
can
we
think
could
of
get?
one incident we've had in just the last year over in that neighborhood area.
Tickets, anything?
And that happened to be an uncontrolled intersection where
Yeah,
it just should have been avoided by both drivers.
it's really hard as a pedestrian or as a bicyclist. Things that I used to look at as really dangerous and scary and all that, and find out there's never been a ticket or nobody really ever did speed or nothing happened. So the fact that it looked really dangerous, but we don't want to wait till something happens. So I don't know. I kind of want to know if things have actually, if there's been wrecks, have people been hit down there, or does it just look really bad?
I can say the wrecks haven't happened yet, but when we've been out there periodically, we have seen some speed issues that have been cured. But again,
Yeah.
when you leave the area for a while, it has a tendency to pick back up.
Yeah.
And there's areas we work where you might not see us, but they speed in one area to get to another. So there's an area of Cummings that's a common cut through that people take to get down to Shoreline. And so we'll work areas around Cummings because it's a little bit longer of a straightaway. We do get a little bit more traffic. And the same people that are speeding there are the same ones that are speeding on Shoreline. And so we get a little bit more bang for our buck, so to say, as far as contacting more people to get them to slow down.
Okay. Councilor Kohler, did you have a comment?
If I was a pedestrian that took my right of way, that I have the right of way to heart, I would be smashed at that intersection.
Okay.
You know, I've started, it looks like they're gonna stop, they do a little stutter, but anybody who's ridden a bike, you look at the people driving and make sure that they're looking you in the eye. And then they just went. So, you start to walk, nope, you back up.
Thank you.
It takes some doing to cross there.
We'll make a presence.
So.
Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Chair Pro Tem. I did have an opportunity to read the email that Jeff sent to Kathy this morning, to Mayor Clark this morning, and I visited with both people in the planning department and with Mr. Lawyer, and we talked about what some of the challenges are in that area and what can be done, what would be difficult to do. One of the big challenges is our north-south thoroughfares are non-existent really other than River Road. Originally, Shoreline was designed to be a thoroughfare, a throughway, and it has 80-foot right-of-ways, which is a lot bigger than any other residential area. And because of that wideness there, it is easier for people to go faster than they normally would. The good thing is that there's people that park on the street, which does slow folks down. So when we consider the corner of Raphael and Shoreline, that is a big intersection, but were you thinking a traffic circle or a roundabout?
But actually, what I might suggest that we put on the list of possibilities would be crossing islands in the middle, both north and south of Raphael, and put some crossing islands there, and that might help the crossing issue as well as the speed issue. So that would be one thing to think about also, and may also help the issue that Mr. Kruger said about speeding, because you're going to be coming to an obstacle within the next block.
Again, one of the big challenges with pedestrian islands, is that what you're talking about? One of the big challenges with that is emergency vehicles. And,
There's so much room there.
well,
Yeah.
if you've got a car parked right there and you've got a pedestrian island there, then it's really, really hard for the emergency vehicle to get around them.
Yeah, I think, it's something we could go on site and look at and see if it could be configured there.
And then one of the other things that Mr. Lawyer talked about is if there's a specific direction that the neighborhood would like to go, if they want to put together a proposal and bring it to him and something, then he can do some research on to figure out if any of that is possible to do.
The traffic circle and the roundabout though, I always thought they were the same thing.
The roundabout, well, the good example of roundabout is Chemawa and Verda Road. That's a roundabout. The traffic impediments, let me give you a really simple one. We take a cement block about twice the size of one of these tables and we put it right in the middle of the intersection. Okay, so you're going to have to, there can't be any parking near there, so you're going to have to jig around that. Now, make it into a circle, put a tree in it. There's lots of different variations of that. But
In Keizer alone, we have the roundabout, and then there's a traffic circle at Inland Shores.
Right, okay.
Right.
Thank you. That's
And they can be, I was just in Port, my son lives on a street that's got probably 20 of these things right in the middle of the street that are about 15 feet in diameter with trees and flowers in them. And yeah, you can't, you don't ride, they don't take fire trucks down those streets. Well, there's that doesn't slow them down, but that's, you don't put them everywhere.
All right. Well, shall we move on to the sidewalk connectivity?
Your chart on the back of your agenda.
Is the intent of this one that the committee maybe categorizes this list, which ones are highest, medium, and low priority, maybe to divide them into a few groups like that?
Yeah, I think that was the intent.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would have two that maybe I'll mention or add to the end of this.
I want to mention on this, a lot of times, if you have something like here, like 2,000 feet, yeah, it all needs sidewalks, but really only those last 300 is really critical, and the next 1,500 is not as much.
Lower priority, right?
And my example, and when I started this, my example was right at Verda and Keizer Road, right by the Chemawa traffic circle, right in front, south side of the church there's a section about 300 feet, doesn't have a sidewalk.
Right.
But then we have sidewalks farther east, but that little section right there, I would say is critical. If you had that, you wouldn't really need this stuff on the other side of the street or down farther. And you probably
yeah.
don't need it way up to Ridge Road because that's just for the baseball.
That may be the way we categorize it too.
Okay.
Keizer Road is on
Yeah,
here
I know,
about
yeah.
further down, but really the high priority piece is from Verda to the missing link is the
Yeah,
critical
yeah.
piece, yeah.
So I'm assuming that's true elsewhere too.
I think so. I made notes of a couple of those. So Shady Lane, did this, different people suggest?
Just an observation, that a number of these projects either replicate or overlap with projects that are in the current Keizer Transportation System Plan.
Okay.
And so one consideration might be, well, do we leverage the fact that they are already part of the plan and just throw our collective weight behind it? Might that be a criterion for prioritizing some of these?
Absolutely,
In terms of
yeah.
what we can do?
Do you know which ones?
Yes.
Okay.
I went through and all of these and I don't know if you want to get into that now or.
I think we should just make a note, if you know it, as we go down, whether it's in the transportation system plan.
Well, I can tell you quickly what they are if you just want to note on
Okay.
the things. The fifth one, the Sunset Avenue is in the plan, as is the following the Cummings Lane project. The 9th one, Dearborn Avenue. The 11th one, Windsor Island. Let's see, down to number 18, the Delight Street to Cummings Elementary, and the following one, Chemawa Road to Cummings Elementary. Verta Lane, the 22nd one, Verta Lane. The Windsor Island Road project.
That's kind of a repeat of the one up above.
Yes, yes.
But it gives a little more detail.
It's a little more, yeah.
More
and
specific,
it's-
yeah.
There's some slight difference there, I think. And then the Manbrin
Okay.
project, those are all part of the current transportation system plan.
But we didn't note Wheatland Road, as nobody did, and yet that's the one that's a high priority, I mean, that's.
That's
where we
already
got all-
kind of in the works.
That
Yeah.
one's in the works, these aren't in the works.
Right.
I would really, knowing how budget and all that, I would throw my weight behind the ones that are listed in our transportation plan, because these are good ones. You know, picking my neighborhood, Windsor Island, that literally connects the West Keizer with the rest of Keizer. The neighborhoods on the Windsor Island area, and kids can walk from that neighborhood's areas to the park, to Keizer Elementary.
Yeah, I made a note on that,
And
that one.
you can walk to McNary Golf Course.
Yeah.
Well, I
See, the
think-
most important to connect that missing link on the west side, to make the west side continuous, I guess, continuous. And then, and I also thought it should be continuous along that west side, and then there should probably be a marked crossing either at Trent or Lock Haven, so that people can make that connection and continue on to Lock Haven.
Yeah, that would connect all those sidewalks that we have on Lock Haven. It's funny, they've done some remodeling of a house on Windsor Island on the east side, and they put in, 40 feet of new sidewalk.
Yeah.
And there's nothing all.
Yeah.
But if you're walking or riding a bike, you come on either direction on Chemawa or Charline, and you come to Windsor Island, everything disappears.
Yeah.
So Windsor Island from Chemawa to Lock Haven?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's almost a half a mile.
But there
There are
some,
sections,
most of it's there on the west side.
but there's big sections that it's missing.
Yeah.
Mostly on the east side.
Most, yeah. In the west side too, yeah.
So that, it's fine, but that's a high, what do we want to find, say 3 or 4 or 5? High priority?
Chemawa to Willow Lake is the missing piece on the west side, right?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, my question, where's Willow Lake? I mean, that's down by the driving range, right?
No,
No, where's Willow Lake?
it's
right there, but,
like,
you turn off of Chemawa on Windsor Island and you go about 4 blocks and it's
Oh,
off to
okay.
your left. There's
So if we went from Chemawa to Lock Haven, we want to go from farther.
No,
That's it.
my proposal was just to Lock Haven, because
Yeah.
after that is farmland
it's
and,
rural, yeah.
and connecting the two established neighborhoods. There's a lot of apartments and such, and then connecting with Keizer Elementary and Inland
Okay.
Shores.
Looks good.
Anybody on the committee feel that that one does not belong in the high priority group?
I like that one.
Okay.
And I want, if we're looking at those, my pet project was always that Keizer Road, the first 300 feet of it.
I kind of had that one marked as high
Yeah,
also.
and it's, which I'll talk more about later when I have my,
Okay.
I've already done some work on that one, so.
And I think the other considerations in terms of prioritizing these are, one, we have the ones that are in the transportation system plan. Are there, however, others of the proposed that we think are, for whatever reason, we think are a higher priority that we might want to take on? Second, even within the ones that are within the transportation system plan, given whatever resources the city has and is going to devote to these things in the near term, do we want to just select a couple or three or a small handful of them that we really want to press on as the priority issues that we would like to see dealt with in the near term? Because within the transportation plan, these are all assigned a priority from low to high. Whether or not we agree with those is something I think we'd want to consider.
We don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. I mean, that's the point. Do we think, and I don't know how the priorities were determined in developing the plan or.
When we were doing safe routes to school, one of our proposals was to get a path to, I can't even remember where it went from. It went from Verda to Norin up to the grade school. Well, I can't remember what street it was, though.
Well, it was one of those two smaller ones,
Yeah,
but
one of
I
the
think
two
the thing
small
was, we had to wait until they do the work on Verda and see where
Yeah.
they put the bus stop. But getting to that neighborhood, though, I would kind of suggest that Sunset Avenue, even though it is on the list that Stephen mentioned, that in the plan, it already has quite, shoulder area that people can walk on both sides. It's in good condition and so forth. So I would probably demote that one a little bit in favor of Norin, which is the street that goes right along the east, goes
Yeah.
up right along the frontage of
Of the
Kennedy
school.
School.
And I just dropped, Hirsch and I were talking about that earlier. Apparently, there's a sidewalk on the east side of Norin on the school.
Terrible
It's on,
condition.
I know, but when they built the school, they put the
Yeah.
sidewalk in. But it's on school property, it's not a city sidewalk. So they don't follow the rules for sidewalks. For example, there's no, where it comes to the school, there's curbs, there's no handicap ramps or anything, even crappy ones there. None at all, and it's a brand new sidewalk right at the school, just a flat 8-inch drop to the pavement.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's their sidewalk, it's not ours.
But it seems like when we talked about this before in relation to that Safe Routes application, there was some mechanism by which the public or something can push on the school district to say,
Well,
you need to fix up your sidewalk, right?
Well, that was then, and now things are a little different, I guess.
The construction that's going on at Kennedy, there is part of the bond, not a safe routes. So
Yeah.
we still have, as the public,
So either
Some
Nora
input.
needs, but there's no sidewalks on the west side. I mean, it's a mess on the west side of Nora.
I'm back on Windsor Island, that is also a transit route.
Yeah, it's important.
Either Norin or Norin's probably the one that makes the most sense to get sidewalks.
Because of the Boys and Girls Club, too.
Well, it also gives us, at the Boys and Girls Club, the elementary school, anybody south of Keizer Road, because you don't want to ever walk on Verda.
At least at this point,
This
no.
has to be the worst place to walk in Keizer. But if you're on the east side of the road there, you have like 1.5 feet of gravel, and you have a choice of stepping on the pavement or in a ditch.
There is a ditch there.
there.
As a
So
cyclist,
you
I
can't walk
found
on
it
that
one
side,
night.
there's nothing on the other side. It's horrible. But theoretically, when they sell the property and somebody develops that, they're gonna put that sidewalks will at least be in on the west side of the road. I don't know how
Well-
long we wanna wait. So if we're gonna wait for that,
Yeah, that's
maybe
like
we should
having
do
a-
something to Norin to get the people set for anywhere south of Chamawa up towards city center. I don't know how many people that is, a bunch. But it's also probably pretty easy to work with since it's school property, not.
I would think that either supporting the city to partner with the school district
Yeah.
or to put some leverage on the school district for the east side of Noren, and then to look into either striping or sidewalk for
getting
the
the
other
kids to
side.
school,
It seems like has been a high priority of the committee.
So Noren's
So I would say
good pick.
Noren would,
And it
if there's,
fits,
unless
yeah.
there's objections, we can elevate that one into the top group.
Where else do we go?
I don't understand the one, it's near the bottom, it just says Chamawa Road to Cummings Elementary, but that, they don't connect, so that, I'm not sure what is meant by that one.
Doesn't Chamawa have side, I don't know who put that.
Chamawa Road has sidewalks, so I don't know what, if that one,
Delight's the one that goes to Cummings.
yeah.
I think that was sent by Jamie, and so I don't know, and she didn't provide any kind of backup to it.
Celtic Way is technically not a street.
Which one?
Celtic Way.
It's school district property, right?
Right, I would leave that one alone.
So that one, that may be something that, I don't know what we're gonna end up with the, I mean, it's nice, I mean, I ride my bike through that way, it would be very nice if they had it as a way you could walk, connecting walking and biking easily without the bumps to go from Lock Haven to Chamawa through that way.
Well, the school has always had the problem with speed.
Yeah.
Even when I went to McNary, the speed bumps were very important to the
Yeah.
principal.
But it could be done in a way that a cyclist could go,
Right,
You know.
where there's cuts and stuff.
yeah. But I think we probably need to take that one off the list for this purpose, is that?
Yeah, because we don't have any input directly. We have input, but it's indirect.
Isn't there sidewalk on one side of that already?
That would be
Celtic
on
Way.
the east side.
Part of the way and,
To the first parking lot, there is,
the southern part.
yeah, and then there's kind of a sidewalk behind the bleachers. To,
Pretty good sidewalk up to the parking lot.
yeah, and then behind the bleachers, football field to Lock Haven, there's the sidewalk on that would again be the east side.
East, but nothing like painted or something connecting the two, so a person kind of,
At least not at this time.
yeah. Well, are there any other comments on the ones that are in the plan?
Well,
Can we review which ones those are one more time? The ones that are,
okay, the Sunset, okay, the
Avenue.
fifth one, Sunset Avenue, Rivercrest to River Road, Cummings from Shoreline to River Road. Those are in the plan.
Yep.
Then Dearborn Avenue from Delight to River Road.
And Windsor Island, we already
We
discussed.
put, okay, Windsor Island from Chamawa to Lock Haven.
Yeah.
Then Keizer, in the plan. Then all the way down
Drops
to Delight.
Delight.
It just says to Cummings Elementary. Like, how long is Delight? Is that it?
Well, the part that's south of the school has a shoulder area to walk in.
The new shoulder.
No, the part south
Yeah.
of Cummings.
Oh, okay, south.
Delight Street coming up has, it doesn't have sidewalks, but it does have like a 4 or 5 foot shoulder on each side paved.
Yes,
But then you have the school property, you have the whole frontage along the school where there's nothing really for the general public to walk.
the transportation plan project would be to a sidewalk between Cummings and Chamawa on Delight.
If I remember right, the bond and the construction with Cummings is started. There will be a sidewalk on their frontage along Cummings.
Well, a sidewalk, they've paved kind of a narrow asphalt path inside their fence. That's what they've done so far.
But I'm talking about technically the front of the school or the entrance to the school. There's a side entrance at
Yeah.
but the very front, because there was concern because they would go up to Riverside and then south, where the big fir tree is. Nice big L, and I had made comments to the principal that I was worried about that tree.
Oh, okay.
And Vert is in the plan in Windsor Island. Windsor Island Road, if you go from Willow Lake to Lock Haven, you've already got that, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah, we
it's
don't-
on, I just think from Chamawa.
If you went from Chamawa to Lock Haven, you've covered it.
You would have, at least on the west side, connectivity to the West Keizer with, can't remember the name of the neighborhood that it's called on the city grounds, but there's apartments and everything along Windsor Island and
Yeah, so the missing portion of the west side is highest priority, and then the east side would be, you'd look at
Yeah.
in probably a different phase.
Does anybody
yeah,
here
correct.
live down by Thorman and Brooks?
Well,
That's the south, right?
that's
I have that on my list now, I can't remember
it's
why.
south of this building. That one,
Thorman is.
I would kind of put that in the medium category because Brooks, it seems to me it is, that it could use a treatment something similar to Sunset, where you would narrow the driving area and provide some room on each side of the pavement for walking or bicycling. And that would seem to be the first stage there, and then
Thorman to Brooks over to
the Parkway.
to the Parkway or to Cherry
Yeah,
is a de facto commuter cycling route.
yes.
And I and a lot of cyclists encourage that to avoid riding on the south portion of River Road
Yes.
as an alternative route around and safer, and you can connect that way. So anytime a street puts in a sidewalk, indirectly it helps cyclists.
What's the street right here outside the courthouse, where the
Bailey?
skate park, what is that?
Bailey?
Rickman,
Is that Rickman?
Or Hickman.
Rickman? I was gonna send that in because a bunch of kids were coming down to go skateboarding. And there's no sidewalks if you're coming anywhere south to City Hall, that would be a reasonable street to come on. And it's,
I agree, but I don't think it quite is
It
in the tier one with a couple of the other ones that we've
Yeah.
mentioned so far.
no, but it does have a lot of foot traffic on it.
Yeah.
So plus, I don't know. Did the police go down that street very often?
Rickman,
Yeah.
multiple times.
I've never seen any problems, but do you see people there, or am I just imagining that would be a way to walk?
Oh, no, it's a heavily traveled road. I mean, you got all the skateboarders and bicyclists and stuff that use the
Yeah.
skate park.
Yeah. All right, but it should be on, it's not, I didn't get it in. So, Rickman, okay.
Manbrin is one that is on the second page. That's it in the plan, and I think it's one that I mentioned last month, and I would kind of endorse again. I came by that way on the way here tonight, and there is a old beat-up sidewalk along some of it there, but it would not be passable by a person in a wheelchair. Some places the ramps are missing, some places the sidewalk is so beat up that you'd never make it through. And then the last 2 blocks, I guess you might say the first 2 blocks coming west of River Road, there's no sidewalk on the south side.
So how far, because that goes all the way down to,
It goes down to Shoreline.
Shoreline?
But there again, they could do it in phases, pick out different blocks and make sure that they've got smooth sidewalk and passable ADA ramps.
And bike lanes.
I don't know if they need bike lanes on that one, but
Where does the Willamette Valley Scenic Bikeway come up from Shoreline up?
I think they take you on Manbrin
Isn't
now,
it
right?
Manbrin that comes up?
Mandarin to
Yeah.
Cherry.
Okay, up all the way to Cherry, and then you go Cherry over to the Parkway.
Oh, to
Okay,
the,
I would put that at a high priority, I'm not too sure how much foot traffic we have, although it should be reasonable. But that's also, if we're directing people through Keizer. How many people on the Scenic Bikeway, Hirsch?
I don't know last year, but in 2017, there was 8,000.
Yeah, so the people coming to visit Keizer are coming up Manbrin, it seems, in Shoreline. So it seemed to be an extra reason for making that a lot better for everybody. So I would,
Sidewalks help cyclists.
well, sidewalks, and if you're doing that, then you got the bike lane and do whatever is needed. But there's a lot of bicyclists on that. We know that. So I would put that as a higher priority. I would, that's just,
And again, it's
so all the
also
way
a
from,
commuter
all the way
route.
from River Road to Shoreline.
Also a commuter route.
Yeah, for people living on the west side of River Road, that's how they get over, get
To
on
Cherry.
Cherry, and you can get into the, and then you go into Auto Way
Yeah.
and connect on the
Maple.
Bike Boulevard on Winter Street, Maple and Winter, all the way down
Yeah.
to the core area.
One that I would add, and I don't know if you folks would put this in the medium category or anything higher, is Stark Street. So that's a very southern boundary of Keizer on the west side, I think.
Stark is Salem.
But doesn't Keizer own the north side of it? No part of it? Okay, all right, then we'll take that off. I thought, because I thought we had people come to this committee talking about stop signs there, and that Salem had one side and Keizer had the other.
Not a Stark.
Okay,
Not, you're talking about like from River Road shooting down?
to Willamette, yeah.
Yeah, there's a section there's a little stretch on that far west side, but it's off of Stark. It's not actually, it doesn't start on Stark.
Okay,
So
all
it
right.
would be further north of there.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4.
I only have 3 priorities so far. Windsor Island Road, Norrin Avenue, and Manbrin.
Oh, the Keizer Road, at least I have. The first 300 feet of Keizer Road, I'd put as a high priority. We went and measured it the other day, it's about 300 feet.
Right.
It's from Verda to the next sidewalk.
Does anybody object to that?
You're talking on, that would be the
Keizer
south side. of-
North,
Side, the west end of Keizer Road
Verda,
on the
you're at the
north
traffic
side.
circle, you take a left
Yeah.
on Keizer Road, the sidewalk ends right there. On the church side of the street, north side.
And there is a sidewalk on the,
There's nothing anywhere, there's nothing on the other side either. I don't think. If
There
it
is,
It's so
but-
overgrown, I can't see it.
it's old. It's been there since the 60s.
But it doesn't go anywhere, it goes into a ditch.
Correct.
So if you're on the sidewalk, your last step is a 2-foot drop.
It makes sense because we're again connecting
Yeah.
to
But
a neighborhood, another neighborhood to another neighborhood, a nice park, a school.
Well, you have the big apartment complex right behind the church, huge houses, and you've got the, whatever you want to call it, mobile home park behind Keizer Elementary with, it's a huge number of people and kids in there. I can't believe you've got that many squeezed in. And there are lots of walkers. And they walk to the Safeway store right down the middle of Keizer Road all the time.
So we have Windsor Island, Keizer Road, Norrin, What else do we want to
Manbrin.
include in the, and Manbrin in the top tier so
That'd be-
far?
There's 4 nice chunks.
Do you want to look at a second tier, maybe projects that are not, that are smaller, that would be easier to get? So maybe opportunity comes up for a smaller project among the next ones there?
Well, I just like Manbrin, and that's a big chunk of road.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you wanted to do it 3 blocks a year, I'd be all excited about that, because that may be what ends up happening. If you wait until you can do the whole thing, if we're writing a recommendation to Public Works.
For instance, Cummings Lane, I would think, is going to be important, but it's going to be really expensive because you're going to have to buy right away and do drainage, so the whole, it's going to be.
Well, there's a bunch of problems like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my thought is when you give somebody a high priority list, they should do the ones they can afford first. If you got one that's just gonna cost you, for example, Verda between Chemawa and Dearborn is gonna be really expensive because the storm drains are located there, sewers are located there. You got easement questions, and the roads, you got that big drop into those people's property on the west side, and you got anyway. Whatever we do there is going to be really, really expensive. I'd rather see us, I know it's needed, but I'd rather see us do all of Windsor Island
Some
or
of these
all of
others.
Norrin
Well,
first.
Where would you place Delight Avenue? Do you want to wait and see what the school ends up with and what the city
Well,
ends
I'd
up
have to
with?
see,
And
yeah.
okay.
Windsor Island is a heavy truck section between Lock Haven and Willow Lake. And that's got to have some improvement on it. And I have to compliment the police. They have worked with Windsor Rock and the rock haulers. They're very good in the neighborhood, but those are big trucks.
Yeah.
And with no sidewalks.
Well, one thing I would just say is that to the extent we want to use whatever influence we have, focusing on, even if we're dealing with projects that are in the transportation system plan, maybe focusing on those that are given a lower priority in the transportation system plan that we think should be higher priority might be valuable. The 2 projects in the pedestrian projects in the transportation plan that are given a high priority are the Cummings Lane and the Chemawa Road projects.
Chemawa's done, right?
Chemawa Road's,
that plan is maybe old enough that
Yes,
was done in the meantime.
it was most recently updated in 16, so.
Yeah, the Chemawa is
they're
pretty
working
much
on it right
done.
now, aren't they?
So that's pretty much, so that one,
Yeah.
so those were the ones that
And
one,
Cummings.
were expensive, that were given priority. For example, the Manbrin project, which is fill in sidewalk gaps and improve the sidewalk continuity, is given a low priority, but it's also assigned a low cost. If we think that one's important,
Well,
then that
we
would be a good one to.
We did, so.
If they're
Yes.
only filling in the gaps rather than replacing the sidewalk that's like
And that's
outlived
what
its
we might-
useful life.
Yeah, and again, that would be something that we might want to encourage, a more comprehensive kind of
So I think by
project there.
putting that one in the top tier, that's a good point, that we're taking a stronger view than what's in the plan currently, right?
That's the Mid-Willamette Valley plan?
No, it's Keizer's
Keizer
transportation.
Transportation. Oh, right.
Any others in that kind
I've
of situation that we've felt are a high priority, that are kind of lower ranked on the list?
Well, let's see, the ones that are given a low priority in the plan are the Wheatland Road, Windsor Island Road, the Manbrin, and the Sunset Avenue project.
I think sounds like by consensus, we would want to elevate the Windsor Island Road out among those, yeah, and Manbrin, yeah.
And that's, the idea there, provide better sidewalk connectivity and access to transit stops. That's a low priority, high money. $3 signs is legend. So yeah, again, that's one where, again, we might want to say, we would like to see that emphasized.
Okay, so really what we need to do now, since we got 4, right? So that's,
That seems,
Who we need-
do we need any
we
greater
sending
level of
it?
detail than that, do you feel?
I
Counselor,
don't think so.
who do we send this to?
Because like the
Would this
Windsor
be to
Island
Public
Road one
Works?
from Shamal to Lock Haven, that
Our
was
recommendation.
connected to the brakes, is that right?
Excuse me?
The Windsor Island Road, Chamawa to Lock Haven, that was connects the sidewalk breaks, is that right? So that's a little more detailed than what was in.
Connecting or filling the gaps, yeah?
Connecting, or, filling gaps, okay.
And providing some crossing opportunities too.
Okay.
Bike lanes. That one, the Mamblin one needs bike, I mean, it would be, that needs bike lanes. I'm somehow, I don't know, if you invited 8,000 people to go down a road.
Yeah, but they've just ridden all the way from Champoy Park on an open highway. I think they
know.
can make it through that neighborhood.
I know.
Or from Eugene. Sidewalks always help.
Okay.
It just
Well, they can always
clues the
run.
driver to expect
Yeah,
others.
okay.
I think maybe in the interest of time, unless there's something compelling, we should move on, a counselor, or something, before we move on.
Thank you, Pro Chair. One of the things to note is that some of the areas will get sidewalks when that area is developed, like Trail Avenue. When that piece of property there is developed, I'm sure sidewalks will go in, probably, maybe on both sides, but at least on the one side. And when the pasture land is developed, that will, on Verda, that will get, so some of these that are kind of on the list will get developed, and that'll be part of the master plan for that area when it is developed.
Right. So we could put these recommendations out to Public Works now.
I think that's, as,
What I can do is, I can adjust this table and put it, prioritize everything.
Yeah.
And then maybe the way to do it would be somebody from the committee, or you could pass it on to Mike when he's here next time, however you want to do it. But
Yeah.
you could give him the table, or, write a
Well-
report to go along with it. I'm not sure how you want to do that, but that's possible.
I would think having Mike here and directing him.
Well, I'd really like to go look this over again. Now I got a better idea what I'm doing with it. And I want to go drive down south. Because I remember looking at, just by the maps, there's some big chunks of disconnected people. If they're gonna walk or bike, but now I can't remember which. I know it has to, it's down there by Thorman and,
so why don't we do
So-
that?
Oh,
We've
yeah.
identified 4 or 5 that are top tier.
Yes.
Take a look at, between now and next month, take a look at any of these others that you're not familiar with. You can look at them on Street View on Google too,
Yes,
some of them.
that's right.
And then be prepared to, I guess, maybe pass
Now
a,
we can
pass a
find
motion next month of tier 1 and tier 2 priorities, something like that. And the rest of them, we probably want everything, but everything that's not level,
Yeah.
tier 1 or tier 2 is just,
if we keep
It'd
in
be
mind,
nice.
keep in mind, we're trying to get people moving off, on
Counselor?
foot.
oh, sorry.
So,
Thank you, Chair Pat. One of the things I just wanted to figure out, now, we identified a couple of them that we wanted as priority, but did we really come up with anything today? Because we talked about Cummings and Windsor Island being priorities. Did we identify any others that we felt were priority?
Mamron,
Mambrud.
The ones that we pulled out of here was Windsor Island, Keizer Road, Noran, and Manbrin, I think. Right?
So I have to-
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just a note to add to this about walking and cycling. And I think our officers probably seeing there's a lot more people walking. The bike shops nationally and locally are empty. They've sold every bike. I was told a week ago that by the owner of Scott's that Trek, just one company, was like 160,000 bikes in the rear. The shop, their rack for their expensive bikes, gone. So there's, even if 10% of the people that bought all these bikes stay with it, it's going to change our transportation system. And the prediction is 25%. So. So we're on the right track, is what I'm
Okay.
saying.
I think we'll move on to the project reports, and I was planning to put together something about the trash receptacles. I may have to bring that back sometime, some other time, because I kind of, spent my time on the connectivity thing instead.
I have a complaint related to that on
Okay.
Chamawa. For the last week, pretty close on the south side, somewhat close to the Grange, there's been a huge metal garbage cart in the bikeway.
Oh.
And somebody has put huge bags of obviously lawn debris, figuring that Lawrence or somebody's going to pick them up. And nobody's going to pick them up. They've been there for at least a week because I've ridden back and forth. And that's more the, not the sanitation company, but people are putting these things there that needs to be moved. But the lawn debris bags, they're not going to get picked up.
Until somebody calls in a complaint, right?
If you call
Okay.
code enforcement, I have them on speed dial. Call code enforcement,
Okay.
but you need the address.
Well, I'll have it on my way home tonight.
Okay.
They're really good about that. They have a million things to do.
But I will still try to, my idea was to try to draw up the different types of scenarios we would have, whether there's sidewalk with no bike lane, sidewalk with no curb. I mean, yeah, that exists. The different types of scenarios that we have, and then what would be the kind of the preferred placement of the carts, and so I can still try to do that and send it to somebody on the committee. Wayne.
I've got a project called ODOT Community Path Program, and I haven't even determined what that is yet, so I haven't done anything. No report.
No report. Is this the same one that we were just talking about, Stephen's assignment, the missing link in neighborhood connectivity?
For the most part, an additional part of that was I had been tasked with following up with SCATs about the sidewalk inventory that they were doing. And so I communicated with Mike Jaffe. He indicated that to see when that would be finalized. He said there are still a few more steps to review before it is finished. He did emphasize that their inventory focuses only on arterials and collectors, not on local streets. And so there are some additional, he suggested contacting Bill Lawyer because apparently earlier this year, the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governance provided data for an ADA study that included all the streets in Keizer, and that Bill might have access to that. So I'll follow up with him on that and see if that data is available.
Thank you. Hirsch, the bike-friendly designation?
This would be what the committee worked with the city, 2 years ago? And to get it in for the League of American Bicyclists for the bike-friendly city has to be in by August. So my proposal is to work on it with Mike and maybe another committee member for the 2021 and see how it goes. The last time we didn't really change our ranking, but I believe this time we have something more to offer as a community, and that one of the areas that we were marked down on is the lack of involvement with the schools in promoting cycling and walking. However, now we do have a Safe Routes to School coordinator with the school district, and two of our schools, Kennedy and Cummings, has been identified as schools. And I think just that alone might raise us, because this committee is involved. You know, when McCrae came here and talked, she was hoping we could help her and be involved. So I think that might help improve. On the same line for Safe Routes to School, with schools being the way they have been, she hasn't been able to do much more than talk with principals and key staff. But she's hoping to do a bike repair day in Keizer sometime this summer, possibly at the church on the hill, because we can't do it at Kennedy because they're building. Cummings is building. So
The
she's
church
working.
the church on the hill. I don't know where that is.
It's just up by the baseball fields.
It's on Keizer Road, right kitty corner from the school.
Okay. Yeah, I know that church.
Is
I
that
didn't know
it?
it was called
No,
the church on the hill.
it's back up around by the, if you go up
Not the
on,
one with the public gardens?
no, there's another one around.
Another one? Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
And so,
Never
but
walked that far.
we aren't sure
Never mind.
of date, time, and trying to find, follow CDC guidelines. And the Northwest Hub would be the one doing the repair. We might be asked to do some helmet fitting, David.
I'm ready.
So I know we haven't been able to do anything for helmets.
I got a box of rubber gloves and 5 masks.
That's probably what we'd need.
2
but-
cans of Lysol.
There we go. And so she's planning something this summer just to help the schools. So that's the gist of mine. And the bike repair station is still in my garage, and the intent is to get it at Kennedy Elementary.
All right. So that is the end of the project list, which brings us into committee member reports. Well, David, maybe we'll start with you on that one.
Just was, Mike's not here. I was going to thank the city for the left turn lane on Park Meadow and River Road. I go that way. It's one of those things, if you never go that way, you don't even know about it. But if you go and try and take a left turn onto River Road at 5 o'clock from Park Meadow, and you have to cross traffic, and you get people stacked. Anyway, it's just nice for a change. Other than that, I'm still trying to figure out why Wheatland Road all of a sudden got, I mentioned this to her, promoted to the, what did we call it? The multimodal corridor. The north-south multimodal corridor for Keizer. So all of a sudden, money's being plowed into the planning. And here you got a nice road, sidewalks, good spot, some sidewalks, a few missing, bike lanes,
Yeah.
and the planning, at least the planning commission I was on, said no more expansion of the city limits that way, so we wouldn't expect any more traffic, or much more traffic coming. Why you'd come down Wheatland instead of staying on River Road, except you're trying to avoid River Road, is odd unless something like, I've been home too long alone. You start these conspiracy theories like, are they planning a bridge and they didn't tell me and they're gonna run it down Brook Lake Road and, who knows?
Well, I thought it's planning to I mean, a lot of people live out that way. We've talked about it before,
But
that
it's a-
there's
Not
gaps in the sidewalks, and
Well,
there's
there's a
bus
few
stops out
gaps.
there, and
There's a few gaps and the sidewalks go down Park Meadow, but really, we're at the end of the city limits. We're not very, Jack Road's I think, the last one. Why would you be changing that into a major, we have big problems. Why are you out there unless you,
city limits out at
Jack-
Clear Lake.
no?
No?
Yeah,
Past
Yeah.
that. It's
it
past-
was past
Well,
Clear
past
Lake.
is way
Jack,
down.
it's Jack Lane or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's not far past Clear Lake. Clear Lake is also the city limits as you get down it a ways. Anyway, it's just odd why it gained such importance all of a sudden.
Counselor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The county has already paved Wheatland up to our city limits, and it's part of a federal grant to do that because it is considered a major thoroughfare. That's why that has the fancy name, and that's why that's a priority, because of the federal grants that was associated with that. And getting back to the Park Meadow turn lane, there was some residents, some people that contacted me, and I contacted Bill Laurier, and Bill Laurier went out and measured it, and they painted it. So that's what happened with that.
Good job. Thanks for taking initiative on that.
Well, remember what I mentioned earlier, there's places that look like they're dangerous. That intersection looks dangerous where you have the other road comes into Park Meadow,
Bear.
right?
Bear.
Well, that's not the one I'm thinking of. What comes into Park Meadow right at River Road and
O'Neill?
Oh, O'Neill,
O'Neill, where O'Neill comes in there, there's a lot of traffic on O'Neill.
right.
And they're taking lefts onto Park Meadow that go somewhere to River Road. So anyway, you can get a lot of congestion there. But I've never seen a wreck or anything, so.
But a lot of times it was during school that it was the most congested, either in the morning or when school was out. And the constituents that I've visited with since then have said that it's made a huge difference. So it's things like that. If we know about them, those are pretty easy to do. That's paint.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to buy any right-of-ways or any additional property or anything else. Didn't have to redo any sidewalks or any more curbs. So that was a pretty cost-effective project, and we like those.
Yeah. Good. Wayne, anything to report?
No, I'm gonna say not. I noticed some of the roads have got a lot of blackberries coming out into the road and all over everywhere. And park trails it might be more of a park issue than a traffic issue, but I did notice just today, Wheatland has blackberry bushes coming out into the bike lane. But, it's everywhere.
Okay. Start back over on this end. Stephen?
Just a couple of things. One, as somebody who lives proximate to the Keizer station, it was interesting to see how suddenly and precipitously the In-N-Out burger traffic evaporated. It would be backed up well into the Volcano Stadium lot for a long time. And then about the time that reopening started, the traffic just disappeared. And, I walk through there almost every day, and it's remarkable. I guess partly it may have to do with them now offering inside seating, may have something to do with people having other options available to them, but it was really almost shocking to see. Second thing, just note that I will not be attending next month's meeting, be vacationing. And also, am I correct in recalling, Pat, that this is your last
It is.
meeting? Well, just wanted to say, however the brief time I've been on the committee, how much I've enjoyed working with you, and I'll miss your participation. I assume we'll still get your input from time to time as an interested community
We sure
member.
hope so,
Thank you
anyway.
so much.
Hirsch, anything to report?
I already talked about the Safe Routes to School possible project here. We started the Salem Bicycle Club, and Mary Ann's and my Thursday night ride. She's leading the ride tonight from Cummings Elementary.
Should be
So-
done.
Huh?
Should be done.
Yeah, she's pretty fast.
Yeah, is anybody going to be able to keep up with her?
Yeah. One thing about the ride, it reinforces the statement I mentioned earlier. We started it about 4 weeks ago. And generally this rides 10, 15 people, mostly Salem Bike Club members and some members of the community. We had at least 10 brand new people, new cyclists, people that have just bought bikes or just cleaned the bike up out of the garage. And a number of them have been riding all 4 weeks, every Thursday night. So this is kind of a change for us too. It's like, okay, we have to go into teaching mode a little more. So, which is good, not a complaint, but the numbers are starting to go up for novices and beginners coming out. That's about all I have at this point. And again, thank you so much for being on this committee and being a friend.
Oh, thank you so much, Hirsch. Well, thank you for everybody for your appreciation, and I do appreciate the time that I've spent on this committee with all of you. I got a little token to give you. I'll pass them that way. Well, I guess a couple, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, that'll work. There's 2 more can go that way. There's just little Post-its that say, curb your car 1 day a week. I didn't start any new projects this past month, but I did a little bit of research on, I guess, follow up on our concerns about the Delight Street project. And so I pulled a little bit of what I could find on the design guides and also some Oregon bicycle law website. So I have some information about what is considered the design criteria if something is a bike lane versus a shared use or multi-use path, and how those should be marked or delineated or separated from the roadway. And also I guess I did provide, make a copy for everybody of one of these things, because it's just one page, which was, is it legal to run or walk in a bike lane in Oregon? Because I think that question came up, like, if you actually marked it as a bike lane with the stencil and everything, would it be okay for people to walk or run there? And I guess according to this person that's a specialist in Oregon bicycle and pedestrian law, he says yes, and he tells you why. So I'm going to give you the copies of these in case you're interested in that. Some that way. The other part, I do have one packet of just excerpts from different websites that talk about, like say, bike lane or shared use path, or what we. It's hard to figure out what to call it exactly on Delight Street right now, but I think it would be called a side path. And so there is some information about side path and what the pros or cons or the concerns would be. So I do have one packet of that for whoever would be interested in it. And then, of course, I've kept one copy for myself, so I can certainly send anybody that's interested the.
Obviously, it's going to continue on because of the neighborhood and stuff, so we.
Yeah, so we want to have one person at least can keep that set there. Anyway, so that's what I did, was just spend a little time kind of looking into that, because I know this question came, that we raised the question last time. Is it okay to park cars on a bicycle path? And that's really what I was trying to find, and I found several kind of things related to that, but not that thing specifically right yet. So that's what I worked on. And again, that's what I have to report for now. We'll go to police liaison report.
I mean, it's kind of been a twilight zone for the last several months. A lot of trends have somewhat changed. We went from having very little traffic and speeds increasing substantially for a few months to now we're back to a little bit more congestion with people back to work. So our speeds have gotten back down again. We have added a third motor now finally. We have him trained and he was just let loose last week. So we're actually fully staffed again from retirements and injuries. And so hopefully with the issues that we have in some of our neighborhoods that are being brought forward, those are things that we can address a little more efficiently, I believe.
Okay. Any questions? Council report? Or question? And then your report?
I just had a comment. I appreciate everything that our men in blue have done here in Keizer to do everything we can to keep the peace and to make things work and to work with the protests that have happened and everything else. I just want you to know we support you. I live up by Wheatland, on Wheatland Road, and I noticed there were some big bushes and things that were trimmed, just Park Meadow and Wheatland on the west side. And that really made a lot of difference when I walk my dog. I don't have to walk out in the street or the bike lane and be, possibly be in violation.
But you can walk in the bike lane.
He has to cut that back 3 times a year right there.
Maybe I can walk in the bike lane, but my dog can't.
No, okay.
Anyway, that does make a difference. So I think it's important for us to remember that although sometimes we don't see the big projects completed and done as fast as we want them to do, sometimes the little things make a lot of difference to a lot of people too. So I just want to say appreciate all the time and effort that everyone puts in here and it makes it work and it makes it happen, and thank you. And Pat, we're going to miss you, and make sure you take your placard with you.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, is there any other business? Hearing nothing, we will adjourn. Thank you all.